Those of you who follow me on Facebook and on Instagram probably remember on Monday, I kept posting a lot about how the Music Monday song was kicking my ass. So today, I wanted to just talk to you, the camera, talk to you guys, and tell you what it was about that song that was quote unquote kicking my ass, right? There isn't much to that song arrangement-wise. So it's basically a verse, a chorus, a verse, a chorus, a guitar solo, another chorus, a verse, and a chorus. Arrangement-wise, very, very, very basic. The chords, yeah, maybe they're a little bit more complex than things I've done in the past, but in general, the arrangement was the thing that was really hanging me up, okay? So in a song, doesn't matter if it's a 2-chord song, 3-chord song, something where it's simple. So in this case, it's the arrangement that was simple. I wanted to, and I've talked about this before, I wanted to make sure that there were new musical things happening in each section, right? So verse 1, if you go back and listen to it, if you listen to those sections between the verses, right? There's a little, I think it's like 4 or 8 bars between the first bit of the first verse and the second half of that first verse. Those are those little moments that were hanging me up, at least the first part of what was hanging me up. It was those moments right there. It was, I wanted to make sure that every one of those was a little bit different from the other ones, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure that they were similar, which is a difficult challenge, especially when, like, the bass part originally went down, call it, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then I laid down a guitar part, and it was suddenly like, oh, wait, I want to do something different here at this section. So that means I have to go back and do the bass. Keeping in mind, at this point in the recording process, I was doing 2 guitar tracks in those verses. In the final mix, it ended up just being one single guitar, I believe, panned to the right. But anyway, so every time I wanted to change something, I had to change all 3 parts. And that was hanging me up for time, creativity. It was a real challenge. So go back and listen to those, because those are the little cherries in there that I was dropping in there for the listener. Those sections between the verses, right? So there's like first half and a second half of the verses, sections in between. Those are where some of the musical changes were happening. And then before the choruses too, and out of the choruses. So all those little areas needed to be treated differently in an interesting way that also remained consistent with the other ones, okay? So that was challenge number 1. Challenge number 2 was the lyrics, okay? So right out of the gate, the first line that I had written for that song was, all around Ashley, I see lots of light. Now, I did not have anyone in particular in mind when I wrote that line. However, I do have a friend named Ashley. I mean, we don't see each other all that much, and her husband, Nick, and I are good friends. We've ridden motorcycles together. Anyway, I just thought if I put out a song where the first line was all around Ashley, I see lots of light, many people would take that the wrong way and think like, why are you writing a song about our friend Ashley? So that was challenge number 2. So also, I wanted to write something that meant something to me as a songwriter. This is important that you write what you know, unless you're specifically trying to create like a fictional character, which I have done in the past. That is one of the challenges of Music Monday, is to, come up with lyrics that are interesting. I don't always succeed all that well. Some of the lyrics have really not been all that great. But in this particular case, I wanted to sing, from the heart and to you guys about where I am in the process of what's going on in my life. Now, of course, a lot of you have probably already figured out from these songs that I am going through a divorce. So that's been a big challenge, just, personally and all sorts of stuff. But I mean, obviously the quote unquote suffering has been great for my creative process. Definitely gotten some good songs out of this awful thing that I'm going through, but we're getting better. And here I am on the other side of it talking about how I just want to be in love again, right? So writing from the heart again, telling you guys another part of the story, because I've told you so many parts of this story already, trying to do this again. I mean, this song was 61, right? This was song number 61 on the playlist. So I've done quite a bit of telling you about this, and doing that in another way that was engaging was presenting as a challenge to me. So lyrics were another challenge. Challenge number 3, the guitar solo. Now, as always, and so I just want to mention this, I think the guitar solo that actually made it onto the song was probably my second solo, second or third as I recall. Then I sat there and went down that damn solo hole for another hour, I think. I sat here trying to crank it, and I kept that solo, obviously, but I kept it, and I just kept re-recording. I was like, oh, I can do it better here, I could do it better there, I have another idea here, You guys, that solo hole, that solo pit, whatever you call it, don't go down it. If you feel like you got it in the second or third one, you got it. Do not go down that hole. It was a major time waster, and it was, discouraging. It was like, why can't I play the part that I want to play? So I just want to remind you guys, when you go down that solo hole, if you got it in within the first 5, don't go down that hole. Don't do what I do. Then, of course, there were time constraints, and that was another thing that was kicking my ass because of the fact that I had to keep redoing bass and guitar parts over and over and over as I came up with new ideas. It ate up a ton of time. So I really do remember it being around 12:30 at night when I was actually laying down what you guys heard as the final bass tracks and guitar tracks, except for the solo, obviously. But it was around 12:30, and I had not shot one piece of video at that point, but I was thoroughly exhausted of just sitting here and doing what I was doing. So I had to throw in the towel on the project as far as finishing that night. The next day, I could actually put a little bit more time into making the video. That is always the most challenging part of the day is oh gosh, now I got to sit down and actually start shooting the video part. So when those videos seem rushed, it is because I am thoroughly exhausted. Which brings me to another part of something I'm thinking about doing with Music Monday, which is actually spreading the process out over a week. So I would still write and record in the same day, but then I want to give myself about a week to mix it and then shoot more interesting videos. This would most likely require me missing one Music Monday, and I haven't decided if I want to do that or not yet, but I think that's probably the direction I'm leaning in because, I want the videos to be more engaging and more interesting, but it's really hard to do everything in one day. I can only shoot in my studio, and I'd rather be able to do, go outside and do stuff like that. I've only been able to do that once or twice, and that's because those songs came out in 2 or 3 hours. So I had the rest of the day to actually go shoot some videos, but that is very uncommon. So I just wanted to mention that we might skip one of these Music Mondays, but that would mean that the ones coming up after that would just be better. They would be better mixes and better looking videos, and I think that would be worthwhile. I would still adhere to the waking up, writing on Monday, recording on Monday, doing all the music stuff on Monday, all the recording that I want to do on Monday, but then having about a week to mix it and work on the video and stuff to make the overall product better. I've done 61 of these, so, I feel like I've given the process that I've been doing, I've given that a really good shot, and I've had a lot of fun doing it, but I think it might be time to upgrade. Again, haven't decided. If I skip next week, if I skip Monday, you know why. But I don't know. Sometimes I really like the Music Monday thing, just sort of sitting there and cranking it all out in one day. It's really fun. It is really taxing on me as an artist and as a creator and an editor and an engineer and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's really rewarding to get it all done in one day. So I don't know. What do you want? What do you think? Leave it in the comments section below. Otherwise, you guys, I think that about covers why that song kicked my ass. I did just want to discuss it with you and let you know that, I have these same challenges that you do. One thing I do want to mention is to the commenter on the video itself who said, if you wrote this song and recorded it all in one day, I'm giving up. Now, I don't really think that you're going to give up, but I want to remind you guys, the whole point of Music Monday was not only for me to put out more of my music for my own creative needs, but was to also inspire you guys to see, this is what you really can do with GarageBand. It is absolutely positively good enough to release great professional sounding music. And you can do it. And I do all of those videos in one day, right? If I can do that in one day, I sort of think if you guys took a week, 2 weeks, a month to put out something like that, at the end of the month, you should hopefully have something really good. But remember, it's about performances behind the microphone, performances in front of the camera, engineering stuff, all the stuff that I've shown how to do in all my tutorials. It's totally possible. You can do it with not spending a bunch of money. You can do it with inexpensive cameras and inexpensive microphones. You can really, really get some great sounding stuff out of GarageBand, but it really does rely on the performances, and that's it. Okay, I think that's enough vlogging for the day. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. The patrons on Patreon, I really, really appreciate that. I just appreciate you guys watching in general, leaving comments. And again, please follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to get some more followers over there. Otherwise, you guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you again soon. All right? Peace and love. I just wanna be in love, find the things I'm dreaming of.